The SS Scotiadoc, or from her original name, the Martin Mullen. This vessel was built by the American Shipbuilding Company in Cleveland, Ohio. The Scotiadoc would be launched on May 14th of 1904. Throughout her career service, the Scotiadoc would have 3 different ownerships. Starting in 1904 to 1905, she would be owned by the Lakewood Steamship Company. Then, from 1905 to 1947, she would be owned by the Pioneer Steamship Company. And finally, she would be owned from 1947 to 1953 by the Patterson Steamships Company. It would also be in 1947 where the Martin Mullen would receive her new name, the Scotiadoc. The Scotiadoc was a typical sturdy bulk freighter. She had a length of 416 feet, a beam of 50, and a depth of 28. She also came equipped with a triple expansion steam engine, and she could carry a crew of up to 29 aboard her. She also had a gross tonnage of 4,635 tons, and she could carry a net tonnage of 3,471. Being a Great Lakes freighter, the SS Scotiadoc would spend her time transporting iron ore, coal, and grain throughout the Great Lakes. In fact, she would spend quite a few trips around the Duluth area ports as well. Overall, the SS Scotiadoc would have a great career across the Great Lakes. She would serve a total of 49 years across them. Very impressive. I did also find another event that the SS Scotiadoc would be involved in, a collision. This would take place on October 13th of 1910. Both the SS Scotiadoc and the SS James H. Reed would collide on the St. Clair River. The Scotiadoc would have her bow damaged, though it was not significant, and she would be repaired and later returned to service. Other than that, she would have a great career, until June 20th of 1953. On June 20th, 1953, the Scotiadoc would depart from Port Arthur, Ontario, carrying almost 260,000 bushels of wheat aboard her. This would be considered a routine or typical grain route for the Scotiadoc, and she was making her way all the way down to Prescott, Ontario. Aboard her would be 29 well-seasoned Great Lakes mariners and the captain, George Edgar Morris. He would be considered a veteran of Great Lakes sailing. As the Scotiadoc made her way out into Lake Superior, she would encounter a thick pea soup fog, which would drastically reduce her visibility to just a few hundred feet in front of her. Her route was planned to hug a Canadian North Shore path, which would be considered safer than going out onto open waters. She would head eastward towards Sault Ste. Marie, and from there, continue her journey. Meanwhile, the SS Burlington would be upbound on Lake Superior. And around 4 p.m. that day, in fact, both of the vessels, the Scotiadoc and Burlington, would detect each other on their radars. This would be at a distance of about 5 nautical miles. However, these two vessels apparently would fail to establish radio communication between them. For some reason, they also failed to exchange passing signals, but they did sound their foghorns. Captain George Edgar Harris of the Scotiadoc did not reduce his speed or alter his course sufficiently, and Captain George Stephen Ward of the Burlington also maintained an excessive speed for the conditions at the time as the two vessels were out on Lake Superior. Finally, at around 6 p.m., out of nowhere, the SS Scotiadoc would be collided by the freighter SS Burlington. The Burlington's bow would strike the Scotiadoc's starboard side. This would be near the stern, and it would be at a fast pace. The collision would tear a large gash, and that would allow water to flood into the Scotiadoc, eventually making its way to the engine. Immediately following the collision, the SS Scotiadoc would begin to flood, and soon after list heavily. Even with the pumps running within the Scotiadoc, there was just too much water, and it would overwhelm them. Captain Morris would issue an SOS, and also give the order to abandon ship. The Scotiadoc would begin to capsize stern first. However, during this capsizing, the pilot house would break off. The Scotiadoc then would sink rapidly stern first and submerge upright in around 850 feet of water that she would sink in. All of this chaos would take place in no less than around 10 minutes after the immediate collision of the Burlington and Scotiadoc. This terrible accident would also be witnessed by the steamer Keewatin. The sailors aboard the Keewatin would also go on to give an eyewitness account and report the position and time of the collision. After the abandoned ship order was given, crew members would frantically make their way to lifeboats and attempt to escape. However, apparently a starboard lifeboat on the Scotiadoc would slip and throw 5 crew members into Lake Superior. 4 of them would be rescued by the Burlington as she returned to the scene of the accident. But unfortunately, one did not. Wallace McDermott would fight his way back to the lifeboat, but could not make it, and he would eventually drift away in Lake Superior in the fog and lose his life. With the 28 survivors aboard the Burlington with her own bow damaged, though she was still seaworthy, they would make their way to Thunder Bay, Ontario that evening and be rescued. In early September 2013, shipwreck hunters Jerry Elizen, Craig Smith, Ken Merriman, Randy Beebe, and Robert Nelson would discover the SS Scotiadoc in over 850 feet of water in Lake Superior. This discovery would mark the deepest known shipwreck in all the Great Lakes. Her wreck lies largely intact and upright on the bottom of the lake floor. And that is the story of the SS Scotiadoc and her collision and sinking on Lake Superior, which would ultimately make her the deepest known wreck on the Great Lakes. Well, thank you guys, everyone, in joining me today on this episode. This one was recommended to me. Great recommendation. And as of the recording of this video, the Scotiadoc is the deepest wreck, 850 feet. This wreck sits. Just incredible. I believe I read somewhere as well, I think it was her stern section also rests in about 870 feet as well. Like with the position that she is sitting on the lake bottom. I believe that is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. But wow, yeah, so another fascinating story, this thick pea soup fog that develops out on the Great Lakes. And so at that point, so I'm guessing radar must have been in its early stages, 1953. But it's not funny. It's interesting that the ships didn't like they knew of each other, but they weren't able to communicate, and they were giving off their foghorn signals, but didn't see each other in time or make that necessary communication between them. And gosh, just imagine a massive bulk freighter coming out of the fog like that, and what can you do? There's not enough time to turn a ship that size and make a get out of the way of this other vessel, which is equally as big, or if not more or lesser. But yeah, just a crazy scene. These freighters colliding and sinking, and so that must have been quite the big gash for her to sink in around 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And then yeah, all the crew members, after the captain gave the abandoned ship order, I'm assuming that the crew members or a good amount made it to one of the lifeboats, and that didn't flip or whatever. But the other 5 that made it to the starboard one, I did read. Apparently there was also heavy wind gusts that day and some rain. So maybe the water was fairly choppy, and that must have with the wind and whatnot caused the flipping of the lifeboat, and all 5 of the crew members, the guys, falling into the water like that. Thank goodness for one that 4 of them were able to make it either to the lifeboat, or which I believe that was what was read, or what was the report that was given, that they made it to the lifeboat, and then the Burlington picked them up. But poor Wallace McDermott, I think he was only 39 years old. He must have made quite the fight to get to the lifeboat, but the waves carried him off into the fog, and yeah, it makes sense that he tragically disappeared in the fog and the water eventually. I hope this video brings his name back into remembrance, and Wallace McDermott will not be forgotten through this video. And just I pray through history and good research on your guys' end too. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Any additional information or insight into this collision and sinking of the Scotiadoc, and just a fascinating story, a sad one, but a fascinating story. And yeah, being the deepest wreck. I last bit of information here, when they lowered the cameras down 850 feet, they were able to see, yep, this is the Scotiadoc. And my goodness, that had to have been such an incredible find down there. I'm very certain there was a lot more information that went into her discovery and what led up to it and all that. But yeah, enjoy this video, everyone, and let me know what you think down below. I appreciate your support, and thank you for joining me here today on this episode. I've still got many projects in the works, not just ship videos themselves, but like I said in the episode before this, I believe we still have many guests coming to the channel. I'll be keeping the interviews going. Those aren't going away. I love them. But as of the current season and the time of the year right now, a lot of people can't do a video until later, till the fall time, which is fine. That gives me good content then. But I've got at least 3 or 4 interviews planned for closer to the fall time, so they'll be really great. Trust me, these will be great interviews, everyone. So yeah, and then we're hoping to make some more trip videos here and bring you guys the good content that you deserve. So, but thank you all. God bless you, and please enjoy this episode. And until next time, thank you for being here on Songs of the Great Lakes.